This is Screen Junkies Movie Fights, brought to you by Loot Crate. Now your host, Andy Signore.
Hello everybody, welcome to Movie Fights. Today we'll be talking about so much fun stuff, including the extended edition of Suicide Squad. What movie would you want an extended edition for? Also, Wolverine Logan poster dropped. We want to ask, what movie would be better if you put Wolverine in it? That's pretty fun, right? Also stuff, so much more fun stuff that you're going to be talking about all day during this fight. But let's get right to who's fighting today. I'm so happy to have him. First up, this is the co-host of the Top 10 Show and a voiceover actor. He's the outlaw.
That's right.
It's John Roca. Yeah. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you for having me back, Andy. I'm looking forward to it. And I'm not just wearing a sweater. I am the knight. So let's have it on. Let's get it on.
Oh, I didn't know we were stripping this episode.
Yeah, there we go.
Woo, this is going to get hot. He's making his Movie Fights debut. I'm so happy to have him. He's the director of the Earbuds podcast documentary, and I'm sure you've heard him on Doug Loves Movies and a bunch of other things. I'm so happy to have him. He was on Pitch Off.
Oh.
It's Graham Elwood. Welcome, Graham.
Yeah, we're getting naked, right? I got my chest waxed. I thought that's what we were doing. All right, sorry.
No,
wrong
sorry,
show.
Wrong show. Third, he's the engineer of our show, and he's now a seasoned fighter here. Guys, JT.
Oh, I love the way you said that. I recently lost on TV fights.
Oh.
I'm not the biggest TV guy, but I know my movies, so I came back home to win this thing. I need to redeem myself.
You did, and you're here, and we'll see how you do. But you guys, if you're watching live on Plus, which you can do every Thursday at 4 o'clock, you can use hashtag MovieFightsLive to talk to us and patrol in those comments and right in your wrongs. It's Mr. Dan Murrell over on our couch. How's it going, Dan?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Should be a humdinger.
You're not wearing your lucky Batman shirt.
I'm not. It was in the laundry.
Oh.
But, so if
Sucks,
Alicia
because
decides to drop the
I
showstopper...
think she's coming today.
Is she? I heard she was in New York.
Oh.
We'll
That's
see.
what we told you.
If it happens, it happens.
Guys, at some point, Alicia's going to bring in with that showstopper and take the bell away from Dan, potentially.
I've been waiting for like 6 months.
Ooh, I cannot wait. I cannot wait for that to happen. We'll see when that happens, but be prepared, Dan. All right, good fight, though. This looks good, right, Dan?
This looks great. Should be so much fun.
Hashtag Movie Fights Live. You'll be patrolling it. Let's
Yes.
get to it. Quick reminder, though, all scoring is based on facts, passion, creativity, so I want a nice, clean fight that gets a little ugly at times.
I was going to say, not too clean.
You guys ready to do this?
Yeah.
All right, well, before we do that, I got to thank our sponsor. We're so happy to have him back. Today's sponsor is Loot Crate. Guys, I love Loot Crate. I love getting my Loot Crate every month. And you, too, can get for a low monthly fee, you can get a Loot Crate delivered to your home, a box full of 6 to 8 of the coolest themed Geek and Gamer items right to your door. This month, it's going to be Scream October theme with horror. Ooh, that makes sense because Halloween's coming.
Yeah.
Smart. They're smart over there.
Get on top of it.
You can if you order by the 19th of this month, you can get the crate full of classic and contemporary thrills and chills. So get yourself some loot and help Screen Junkies in the process because they've been sponsoring us for a long time. We love it. And I know a lot of you tweeted us saying, I'm so glad I did it. So check it out. You can go to lootcrate.com/moviefights and save 10% off your new subscription by using code MovieFights. Can't forget, right? lootcrate.com/moviefights, code MovieFights. All right. Thanks, Loot Crate. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
They started following me on Twitter. Do I get free stuff from Loot Crate when you get followed by them on Twitter?
No.
Oh, God. What's the point?
Let's do it.
All right. He doesn't know to get the JT when JT's not engineering. Let's do this. Okay.
That was great.
Let's get nuts. I want to fight you.
You want to fight? Let him fight.
Stop this fight, I'll kill you.
I could do this all day.
Nice.
All right. Thank you. It's Zach in the booth? Zach, thank you for stepping in, Zach. When JT's not in the booth, we have to try someone new. He's learning, so he's getting there. So thank you, Zach. I won't give you as hard a time as I give JT. All right. Round one. Ding, ding, ding. This comes in from Billy A. Patterson on Twitter. Warner Brothers announced that there's going to be a Suicide Squad extended cut. This is becoming a tradition for them.
No.
Let's re-release our movies every time with extended editions. So we wanted to ask, thanks to Billy's tweet, what movie would you want to see an extended edition of? And I want to ask, is like, what portion would you, let's get a little bit more specific, like what would you extend? What are we seeing in this cut that makes us want to see it? So we're starting with you, John. What's the dream extended edition you wish you could watch?
Well, since I host a Star Wars podcast, the first thing that occurred to me was was The Force Awakens, which just came out last year, which was fantastic. People loved it, $700 million. So amazing. But there were a lot of holes and questions in the film that I think were left too much to the imagination, and that we shouldn't have to wait for two more films to explain to us. So for me, I think this is the one that should have an extended edition. We need to know more about Kylo. We need to know more about Poe Dameron. We need to know more about Finn. Like, there has to be, these stories have to be fleshed out a little bit more. So I would have extended a lot more of the Kylo stuff with his dad, with his mom, like flashbacks, so we get to find out what was the reason for this turn, and what was the reason for him killing Han Solo. Spoiler alert. Why would he do that? What brought him to it? And we're just left with an emo kid, and that's what I didn't think that was the smart move by them. And a Twitter account was created that got hundreds of thousands of people following him because people didn't like the fact you had an emo Kylo. Whereas Darth Vader was such a great villain, we didn't get enough of juiciness, depth, and real passion behind this villain for us to love him as a villain, or at least hate him as a villain. And I think there should have been way more explored there on the Kylo Ren, so we could flesh him out a little bit more. And Adam Driver's a fantastic actor. To give him more to do, to give him more to play, levels to play, interactions with his parents would have been fun to see.
How many minutes are you adding, John?
About 15.
15, okay.
Yeah.
All right, Graham, what are you doing?
I love The Force Awakens. Those are some honorable choices there. I don't need more Kylo. I need Dark Knight Rises. I need to know how he fixed the autopilot. I need to know how he dropped the bomb and got away, and then is having lunch with his Catwoman girlfriend while Alfred has a Fernie Branca, a drink none of us ever know what. I want to know what is inside the Fernie Branca. I want to see him from like the Frank Miller graphic novel after he defeats everybody and he's just recruiting the kids. He's no longer Batman. I would actually like to see what that's like, him and Catwoman helping the world without the mask and the cowl, without kicking ass, like however they're going to do it. Use his resources secretly. Does he get a secret identity? I want to know more about the Batman from Dark Knight Rises.
All right, JTE.
I went with Godzilla's 2014, the most recent film. Throw the photo up real quick. I want to show you something that pissed me off when I saw this movie.
Yeah.
That pissed me off.
Honolulu?
Do not give me the first fight of this movie on the background of some kid that's watching, because at this point, spoiler, the only character I actually cared about in this whole movie is dead. So I could give a crap about Aaron Taylor Johnson. At that point, I just want more Godzilla fights. And you don't get it until the very end of the film. What this movie, to me, it's not a bad film, but it could be better. Your guys' films, I would argue, are just as good as they are, and extended would be cool to see. Mine will actually improve the overall film. And that's why I think the best extended editions are. They make a movie that to you that is just not bad, but passable into actually good. So I went with Godzilla 2014.
All right, let's hear. What do you disagree with that, guys? Are your additions improving the film?
I think, to me, I'm improving. I'm going into more. I want to know more about the world of Batman, the galaxy. Whatever you want to call it. I want to learn more. I always love in the end of a movie going, what happens next? So Alfred just sees them and is like, nah, cheerio, mate. Like, I want to see and the unity of Bruce Wayne and Selina as like a force of good. That is really intriguing to me. He's right. The Godzilla movie is awful because I don't see the goddamn lizard till like an hour and 15 into the movie. So anything like I paid to see the fucking lizard. Give me more lizard. That would be interesting, but I don't think American filmmakers can make Godzilla correctly. They gotta just let the Japanese
The problem is you're asking for a sequel to Dark Knight Rises. You want all this other information, which I feel like you would have gotten maybe if Nolan decided to do a fourth movie. But you gotta end it some way. I feel like the way Nolan ended it is the way he wanted to end it. It was Nolan loves that ambiguous ending. He doesn't love giving you the whole story. He doesn't want to fill in every single portion. He wants you to leave that to interpretation. Force Awakens, some of the stuff you said, I think is going to ruin the future films. I am curious about those questions, and that's what makes me more curious about the next film. I feel like they have a plan. Some of those questions are going to be answered in the sequels. I totally trust them to do that. You want it all in one movie? Let's leave something to the sequels to explore and build upon that first film.
Well, it's interesting you say all this stuff, and you might be right that the next two films are going to fill in, but the thing is, you got to lay the groundwork early. And if you want to make people interested, if already people are complaining about your main villain, this is not a good thing about your film. People are going to be be going in already with preconceived notions of how they're going to be disappointed when they go into second, third. And the thing with what you said earlier,
Round one is
your
when we lost it.
Godzilla film. The problem with your Godzilla film is I don't think it's that bad actually, but the fact
it's
that
passable.
the fact that you both think it's not that great and you want to make people sit in the theater for longer with it, that doesn't make any sense to me at
I
all.
want to give what
it's
they
not gonna,
paid
it's
to
not going to
see.
improve the film in any way, shape, or form because it's going to be the same director doing the same stuff, which means these long sequences where nothing happens and Christopher Taylor Johnson or whatever his name, Aaron Taylor Johnson rolls around on tracks and whatever, and he doesn't get you interested in the film. I think the film is perfect the way it is what it was.
I'm sorry.
For what it was.
Point
right?
of order.
Which is
Godzilla
American,
2014
but it's your
is
point.
perfect?
It's your point, but it goes to your point because you said American filmmakers can't do Godzilla really well. This is the best I think American filmmakers could do this because it's not their property. And I thought you saw the best of what you could do. It was a good mood piece. It was interesting. The monster was interesting. The storylines were interesting. And you got everything got culminate, and then you got excited to see a sequel. That was what they were supposed to do, and people are going to see a sequel. With Dark Knight Rises, you don't need more of Batman. People all thought this was the worst one of the three. Majority of people think it's the worst one of the three.
Well, those people are wrong.
And for what you said about the dropping of the bomb, that was ridiculous. So
well, no,
what do you want to see?
I want to see more of that. First of all,
he got away with it. What do you want to see?
The people that are like it was the worst of the three, those people probably like Val Kilmer Batman. So those people are probably like, oh, more bat butt than ever, like Joel Schumacher did. Actual quote, Joel Schumacher said.
So you're saying it's not the worst of the three?
No way.
Which one is the worst of the three then?
All three are great.
Oh, okay.
All three are fantastic.
Okay. Are you a dad? Is this what this is from?
This
all
is
my kids
all
are great.
Are you
all my
Christopher
kids
Nolan?
Show me a better Batman movie other than the three Christopher Nolan ones. They don't exist.
Wow.
They're ridiculous cartoons.
You don't like the Tim Burton one, the 1989.
Oh my God!
Wow.
He brings a girl into the Batcave. He brings Kim Basinger into the Batcave.
He does have Batman Begins also.
Oh.
Yeah, he does. He brings Katie Holmes in there.
Katie Holmes.
He brings Katie Holmes
A
in there.
young Katie Holmes. He hasn't even
right.
figured out his
All
character
right.
yet.
That's
He's
what
a
I'm
fully
saying.
formed
All right.
Batman. He's
All
a
right,
fully
but
formed Batman.
go ahead on what you're going to argue.
Okay, here's my point. I'm going to argue is Dark Knight Rises. To say Christopher Nolan, yeah, he did a nice job ending it, but it's a comic book that's been around for what 70 or 80 years. So more Batman. Everyone wants more Batman. That's why you have a Batman shirt on. That's where I'm wearing Batman underwear.
Hey-o.
That's why. And there's a Batman right there.
There it is.
So the more you can give me about him if Christopher Nolan said, I'm going to add more to my three amazing movies, I'm in. I want as much more that I can get. I want to get to more. I want to learn how the relationship between Selina and Bruce Wayne evolves to where then, wouldn't that just a whole second chapter in Batman's life, all the thing that Alfred talks about, like doing good without having to fight people? I mean, I don't know. This is
Again, you're asking for a sequel. Now, I want to touch on Force Awakens for a second.
What's great about Batman
You're
is-
saying you want more Kylo Ren.
I want more flesh out the story.
But you've essentially said
Flesh out the
Kylo
story.
Ren. The part.
No, you're trying to change my
when
word.
I
Twist
saw
my
that
words.
movie and he took that helmet off,
Yeah.
that's when he became less scary to me.
Right.
Everyone in theater was like, Right.
Why is
what
it less
this
scary?
guy?
'Cause you don't know why he's being a whiny
it's
little
because
bitch.
he looks like Adam Driver. That's the only reason. Because Adam Driver just doesn't fit what I thought was going to be behind that mask. What made Darth Vader so good was
Adam Driver's a Marine.
It was the
He's a Marine, JT.
I'm with you, but I'm just saying. But
Respect
the
the
character.
soldiers, man.
Talking about the character.
Don't you kneel during that anthem.
Darth
Yeah.
Vader was so good because you didn't know what was behind that mask. It was the mystery.
Right.
It was hearing
And James Earl Jones' voice. Yeah.
and hearing stories about him. I like hearing about the villain like through legend and myths. That's what builds up the legend for me and the scariness of that character. The more you give me about Kylo Ren and his background, I feel like save that for the sequels. They didn't need to put that all in the first movie. If you're going to extend that, I'm like, just save it. Give it to me in the sequels. I want my villain to be the villain in the first movie. That's how I'm introduced to him.
All right, final thoughts. Go ahead.
Yeah, listen to your argument. You're saying you want less of Kylo Ren because it's a boring thing, but you want more of Godzilla, even though that's a boring movie. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't balance out, and your logic doesn't make any sense.
Makes no sense.
And then no, it does actually. And then what you're talking about with Dark Knight Rises, the thing that's great about Batman is the less you see of Batman, the better, because it builds up the mystique of him. So like that, just he makes that comment in Batman versus Superman. He says, "Oh, so that's what that feels like." It's that reference to the fact that Batman is better in doses than getting more and more and more stuff. And I don't want to see his relationship with Selena Kyle. We get that. It's not that interesting. And honestly, that version, the Michelle Pfeiffer, Michael Keaton would have been interesting.
Graham, final thoughts.
First of all, to reference the Batman v Superman movie, that is just heresy, and he should be put on trial for a hate crime. So I can't acknowledge that. I agree with what JTE said. We can just get more of this Kylo Ren in the future movies. I'm not asking for a sequel to Dark Knight Rises. I'm asking for an extra 15, 20 minutes that would make that movie even already more better than it is. And
3 hours.
Godzilla,
A 3-hour Batman movie.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
all right.
And here's the thing about Godzilla. What are you gonna just more? Well,
Exactly.
what a great character arc.
Exactly.
That's a fantastic character arc. Just Godzilla going.
Final thoughts, JT?
I go in to see a Godzilla movie to see Godzilla kick some ass. This movie teases you twice. When there's that first scene where you think you see his foot come down, you're like, oh shit, it's about to go down. Then you get a little TV screen of it happening in the background. Then later, when he's finally attacking the city and he finally is about to square off against a monster, they close the door on the fight. Like, nope. I want to put what people want to see Godzilla fight, more fights. Because once Bryan Cranston kicks the bucket, I don't care about any of those characters. So this wouldn't improve the movie.
Did you hate Jaws?
You know what's weird?
Godzilla ate
You know what's
Jaws.
weird, JT? I loved that they did that.
Oh, you
Because
did?
it built
Well,
up the
that's-
fight.
that's an opinion.
It built up that the Godzilla.
Welcome to the show.
The Godzilla fight became stronger at the end, but no one said that, so you win this fight hands down. Best argument.
Thank
Come
you,
on,
Andy.
there was a build up to that fight. That's why they weren't showing it to you. And come on, guys.
I was a little worried about that.
Right, Dan? I just wanted to get in there. I couldn't resist.
I was bored by the time the fight
No,
happened.
I mean,
Yeah.
to be fair, he said you were asking for a sequel, John, and JT called that up.
No!
I'm sorry, Graham was. Graham was asking for a sequel.
Yeah, Graham was.
And it ended the way no one wanted it to end. I think
that's his.
Yeah, for you, sorry.
Force
Force
Mine's
Awakens was
Awakens.
asking for a sequel. You're asking for too many questions to be answered. That's what my problem is. And Graham, he pointed out that it didn't end the way no one wanted. How could you add more? So JT's argument's one on top of the fact. Go ahead, Dan. Sorry.
Our Twitter poll, which you can follow at Screen Junkies, 44% voted for The Force Awakens, 32% Dark Knight Rises, 24% voted for Godzilla.
Yes.
Although I will say,
You gotta flesh out your villain.
our comments on Twitter, which are the people that we know are actually watching, did also heavily favor JTE's point of view.
I mean, but Dan, you're with me, right? The reason not seeing Godzilla made the final fight that much better.
I'm a fan of Godzilla 2014. I get why people aren't. I understand. I just, for me, that is building up to that is what made it better.
That's why it was good
You
enough.
add all those you add the fights in the middle,
Yeah.
and it's still slow. Then
Yeah.
you might have a bad shitty movie.
argument-
But no one.
It was like if you watch Jaws and it went dun 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 dun
Yeah.
dun 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 dun
And then
dun
the
dun dun
shark
for
ate
an
everybody?
hour and
Yeah.
15 minutes, and then by the time the Godzilla
Yeah.
stood up, I was like,
But that is what Jaws does.
Yeah, Jaws
Yeah.
totally does
Yeah.
exactly
That's
what
exactly what
Jaws
Jaws
does.
does.
Eight people right. Like,
Have you seen the movie?
But you
anyway,
see,
round two.
So at the beginning.
Go ahead, Dan. Sorry.
Sorry,
Your
just a
argument
couple
at the beginning,
fact
you're right.
checks. Fernet Branca is an herbal liqueur. It's bitter and it was made in Italy. That's why Michael Caine goes to do that.
Nice.
Alfred is who let Kim Basinger into the Batcave in Tim Burton's Batman.
Oh, right.
And The Dark Knight Rises is the movie that has the "That's what that feels like" line, not Batman v
My bad. Okay.
My
That's it.
cocaine.
My cocaine.
My cocaine.
I don't want to bury any more Batmans.
My cocaine.
That's a
Pretty good
Number
movie.
2, round 2. Ding ding. There we go.
double Batmans.
Michael Caine. Emily Blunt is leading the girl on the train this weekend, guys. Y'all
Yeah.
gonna take a trip, buy a ticket to the
love her.
train
Yeah,
station?
I'll see it.
It's in theaters this weekend, so we wanted to ask something fun. If you could have a commute to work every day with one movie character, who would you pick? Now, keep in mind, this can't fast make the train go. This is a person you gotta sit with and talk and have a conversation with. You can't pick the genie here and skip the train ride. This is all about who do you want to have a commute with and talk to and have some. Who's gonna keep
great.
things interesting? So here we go. Who's gonna go first? Let's see. It's Graham. Who are you picking?
I'm going Shatner's James T. Kirk, and here's why I'm going, because there's no struggle that you would be going through on your daily that he hasn't gone through. You could be like, oh man, I'm having a problem with work, we're having a tough time negotiating. He'd be like, the Klingons, they killed my son and I ended up negotiating with them. You know what I mean? Like he has gone through everything. Any struggle, he'd be like, I saw my son, I heard him executed over a tricorder, on the Genesis planet. And it would be like, you'd be like, wow, this guy that I'm having this tough time with, I had a falling out with a friend. If he can repair his hatred, those Klingon bastards, they killed my son. He, there's that great scene where they're the scourge of the universe, and the Starfleet is debating on whether to bring them back in to not bring back, but to bring them into Starfleet. And there's that great the Klingon that says Starfleet is a Homo sapiens only club. So if he buried the hatchet with these people that murdered his son, you could get over like a falling out with you and your buddy because, you know, he likes Batman versus Superman and you think the Nolan trilogy is amazing. You know what I mean? Like you could work through that. Anything, any dilemma. Like I'm a manager at work and I'm having a hard time managing my employees. Well, I had Bones and Spock constantly fighting with each other. You know, like, oh yeah, you're right. Good point. You know, it would just be, there's nothing you couldn't learn. You learn about strategy. You could learn about managerial skills. I'm having a trouble with ladies. Well, son, this is how we make love on my planet. You know what I mean? He would just be.
He's from Earth.
He would be taking. There's nothing he couldn't teach you.
All right, JT, who are you picking?
Wow. So that's William Shatner. It's not Chris Pine. Okay, I just wanted to get that straight. I'm going to go with Jules from Pulp Fiction, Samuel Jackson. Listen, for me, the best thing about being a ride with somebody is just having a great conversation. Just talking the shit. As you're going and having a good conversation, whether it be, hey, can you give somebody else a foot massage and be okay with it? Hey, Royale with cheese? Like, he's just a perfect buddy to have there to talk no matter what it is. And it's just going to be fun conversation. When I'm commuting to work, I just want that time to pass as quickly as possible. I want to just have a good conversation and have fun and have some laughs. And I think he'd be the best scenes of Pulp Fiction are just him talking with John Travolta. And that's what I want every day on my commute to work.
All right, John, what are you picking?
Han Solo. I really think I don't think I should say anything more than that. I really think that's the answer. This is ridiculous. Han Solo is such a fantastic guy. He's smooth. He's adventurous. He's got so much to talk about. He can tell you all about his adventures, all his going out through space, all his smuggling adventures, all the stuff with Chewie. He's already proven that he's a great best friend with Chewie. So you've got all this stuff going on. He's so much fun to hang out with and talk to. He'd have all these stories, and he'd have, when he's had like women issues, like stuff with Leia, you can sit down and talk to him and relate with in that way. He's such a cool dude. Plus, if you want to meet some beautiful woman on the train, guess who's gonna be your best wingman? Han Solo. It's just how it works. And so wherever you're gonna go, he's a perfect, great friend for you to go with. If you want, I mean, I don't understand any of these other choices, to be honest with you. Like,
really?
Yeah, Jules will kill you at any moment.
All right, find out.
Yes, he will. And James T. Kirk is, I mean, come on, he's gonna make it all about himself. And you can't talk, every story you start to, oh yeah, I remember, blah, 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 and he'll just go on and on about his own story. Yeah. You will not get a word in
Solo
edgeways.
isn't selfish?
You will not. No, it's different. It's different.
It's different.
He's smooth as opposed to Kirk. He's not
he just goes
insecure.
For the money in a Force
Kirk is insecure. Han Solo's not insecure.
James C. Kirk's insecure.
He's massively insecure. That's why he
becomes
makes everything about himself.
Of Starfleet.
That's right.
First of all,
he's thinking about himself.
James C. Kirk is like that uncle at the barbecue who wants to tell you all his war stories over and over.
For hours.
For hours. I've heard this so many times.
Yeah.
Oh, I never heard this
Jules is like
one.
the guy at the track who keeps thinking he's funny, and when he makes one joke and everybody laughs, and then he keeps making it again. Royale with cheese. Yeah, we heard that, Jules. I got
is
it.
Sensitive. At any moment, Jules gonna flip out and kill you because he's such a sensitive guy.
Hold
Anything
on.
you say, he'll pull out Ezekiel, whatever, and start to shoot you.
Have you seen this movie?
Many times.
He's one of the least violent guys. The only person he kills is the person he has to because he's ordered to do his job.
No, he shoots the guy in the couch and goes,
Yeah.
Did I break your
Travolta.
concentration?
That's Travolta.
No, it isn't. It's
that's
Samuel
Samuel Jackson.
Wait, JT, have you seen this movie?
No.
It's Samuel Jackson who kills him.
I thought you meant the guy in the back of the seat.
No, you didn't. You knew what he meant, and you messed it up.
I didn't.
Own your mistakes.
First of all, the last person I want to travel in a car with is somebody who's a smuggler. What if I run a red light or it's a little bit yellow? All of a sudden, hey, do you got anything in the car? You're like, no. Then Han Solo's like, I got some
That's why Jimmy Kirk.
Empire weapons
All right,
in the
because
back
Jules
there,
is not
buddy.
going to have any. Jules, a criminal, is not going to have anything in your car. What the hell, kid? What is wrong with you?
Here's what happens.
That makes no sense.
Here's what happens if something happens.
Yeah, please tell me what happens.
Say I hit a pedestrian.
When you're riding with a black man in the car
Let's
who's a
say-
criminal. Yes, tell me what's going to happen,
That's what Jules
JT.
going to do. He's going to shoot the cop. He's going to drag the body in the trunk.
Yes,
He goes,
so you're going to be.
Yes.
He's going to shoot the cop.
Oh, guess what the next thing is?
Yeah, you're accessory to crime.
Cole the Wolf, a.k.a. Harvey Keitel, will clean this shit up like a pro.
Yeah.
That guy erases every
And you'll be
problem.
cool with it. Hey, I helped kill a police officer. I can go on with
Guess
my day.
what?
I can look in the mirror in the morning. I'm so cool about
I didn't do it. I'm just
You
kidding.
could do it.
I'm in the shit. And
Do
the
you
wolf,
want to be put in the shit?
Harvey Keitel, the wolf, is at my call. If anything goes wrong,
He's at
in that
Jules's
trip.
call.
Jules is my passenger. He's my boy. He's gonna help me out just like he helps out Travolta.
Maybe don't call him your boy.
Go ahead, Graham.
I want to thank both of you for murdering each other because you guys just made great points.
We only
for
destroyed
why-
Kirk.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Kirk gets pulled over? Hi, I'm Admiral Kirk. Right on, sir. They're not giving Kirk a ticket. Kirk doesn't have any illegal shit in the back of his car.
No, he is going to get a ticket because he probably slept with that dude's wife.
No.
That's how Kirk is.
No.
He's a whore.
Smuggler and
He's
a
a
criminal.
whore.
Smuggler and a murderer.
the reason-
Kirk is never going to get a ticket. You guys had your chance. Kirk
I'll
is
tell
never
you
going to
why.
get a ticket.
I'll tell you why he gets
He's-
a ticket.
He's not going to cock block you like Han Solo. Han
What?
Solo
No,
is
because
gonna-
he'll sleep with your wife.
No.
He'll sleep with your girlfriend.
No, he doesn't cheat.
It's Kirk.
Name one episode where he took somebody's lady. Name one movie.
There's like 7 of
Name
episodes
one.
where he took
Where?
the woman of the girlfriend of the guy he's supposed to be saving on the planet. He has done that on 7 separate episodes.
No. That's
Yes, he
I
has.
can't wait for Dan to tell me how that's
wow.
true.
Yeah,
Keep
get
going.
Scott Manson here.
The
He would know.
reason you're getting a ticket is because Kirk is all about danger and taking risks. You'll be pulling
Oh,
up.
and the hitman is Dr. Safety.
No, he's
The
a pro.
hitman who just blows people away for a cheeseburger.
He's a
He's
pro.
all speed limit.
he's a
Who
pro.
are you going to have the great conversation
coming-
with? Han Solo.
And here's
saying-
another thing. Jimmy Kirk doesn't have to call the wolf when he gets jammed up. He comes up with a solution.
Right.
I redid the Kobayashi Maru.
He does. He
Bam.
cheats. He cheats. Yeah, he cheats.
He gets in trouble. He's going to teleport the hell out of there. He's like,
Right.
peace out.
Beat me out, Scott. He's going to leave
Beat
me
me
alone.
out.
Well, what's
That's true.
Kirk? He's the captain of a ship. Name me one captain of a ship who is the landing party going to get shit done. The red shirts are going to get it, but
You mean,
he's
you mean which captain is insecure enough that needs to be the one down there having all the action and leaving everybody up there?
There's no captain of any ship in
Yeah.
any military who's
Yeah.
going to put himself on the line the way Captain Kirk did. When he was
Han
an
Solo would.
admiral, he stole a ship
Han Solo
to go
would.
get his boy, who was a ghost.
So you're saying it can't have a smuggler, but you want to champion the fact that Kirk can steal a ship. That's but
guys,
theft
he
is
does all of it.
Smuggling isn't, but
He
theft's
can,
all right.
he can smuggle, he can do all your stuff, and he dresses up nice, and he's all spocked out. He's the man.
And he makes every story about himself.
I feel sorry for both your guys because these
Please.
guys are used to being in spaceships, commanders in charge of these big battles, and they're stuck in a car with you in a commute, bored out of their effing mind.
Yeah.
All they can think about is, God, get me back to space. I can't believe I have to ride every day with this
I
guy.
was picturing
Yeah,
us
so
on a
then
train.
Jules will be next to me because this is what he does. He drives the cars, he talks shit. That's what he's good at.
Right, but then
To
at any
be,
point,
to be fair, it doesn't say trainer car. It says commutes.
Yeah, commute. And at any point,
I go high-speed rail.
Yeah, Millennium Falcon. Who doesn't want to ride on the Millennium Falcon if you're going to commute to work every day with Han Solo? Give me
That's
a break.
ridiculous.
You want
But
to
you're
ride in that
getting
little
bored.
hoopty mag with Jules?
You're getting boarded every five. You're never always going to be late to work.
There's no
let's-
sexual
let's
innuendos
say,
here.
final argument here. Let's say you're on the train, okay?
On the train.
You're on the train,
Yeah.
so we even out everybody. You
Okay.
can't use a vehicle
Yeah,
or anything
okay.
else. You're all in the train, equal
Yeah.
playing field here.
Okay.
Give me your last little pitch why yours is the better partner next. Because, sometimes the train gets booked.
Yeah, okay,
And
so
you got to be next to somebody,
when you-
right?
when you
so you're
could-
next to this person. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, sorry,
you're next to Han
sorry.
Solo on the train. Last thoughts.
When you commute, you want your time to go quickly. So if you can't read a book, you can't do it. You want to talk to someone who's got great stories. Han Solo would have fantastic stories, galaxies, planets, different species, different races, relationships he's had, things that he's experienced. It would be fantastic. It would be like reading a book every time you get, and it would make the commute go faster because it is boring. I used to work a job where I commuted to 2 years in a train to DC. It was boring as hell. So if I could see someone who's adventurous, exciting, fun, and interesting, and good looking too, so we might have a pretty lady sit next to me, that'd be awesome. So to me, Solo is the way to go. Kirk would make it about himself, and he'd fart the whole time because he's an old man. And Jules would just be ridiculous because at any moment he would just, if you say something insensitive about it, he would turn around and go, "What'd you say to me, man?"
That's not true.
JT, go ahead. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Go ahead. JT, go ahead.
Go, me go. Okay. First of all, I went with a character I think would actually have a good time talking to. Han Solo, you'll be like, "Hey, buddy, what do you think of this?" He's like, "Kid, leave me alone. Just shut up and let's get to the trip."
Oh, please.
He's a scoundrel. He's not the most talkative guy. He's never told a story in any of the Star Wars movies. He's just like, "Yeah, what? They're all true." But he is not a storyteller.
So insane.
Sling
Of course,
blade to Han
he-
Solo.
yeah.
Han Solo.
You try talking to a
That's
Wookiee. There's
all.
not a lot of stories going to come out when you're talking to a Wookiee who's already done the stories with you.
Now Wookiee does all the talking more than Han.
Right, 'cause
William Shatner is a risk taker. I wouldn't want to ride with him because he's always going to want to push to the edge. Say I'm coming up to a yellow light. I'm like, I don't think I'm going to make it. He's going to be
We're
like,
on
no,
the
you
train.
can.
We're on the train.
train. Okay. Say I don't think I can make the train. He will purposely do whatever he can to push the envelope. He likes to always be risky and dangerous. I don't want that person in the car with me. I want somebody I can have a good conversation with. Jules is not a violent person. Come
on. He carries a gun.
To his friends. He is a pro.
To his friends. One friend.
He's my friend who I commute with. He only kills people that he's ordered to. When he can bring it out, he brings out. And at the end of the movie, let's not forget, he had a change of heart. He changed his path. He was trying to be the good shepherd.
Right, so he's not going to ride on a train with you because he changed his heart. He's
can't even-
wandering like kung fu. He's
Jewel,
wandering
the proof is in the
He
movies.
might still be going on a train.
Yeah,
No,
no,
I wouldn't.
out of all these movies,
Okay.
I went with the proof of what's on the actual film.
Yeah.
And in all the films, Jules is the one you're going to want to sit down.
Yeah,
and
and he
have a
pulls his gun
conversation
and
with.
shoots people.
Go ahead,
All
Graham.
right, I mean,
Final thought.
like if I lost last round because of the Dark Knight Rises extra movie thing, then these guys have already murdered themselves. Kirk takes too much of a risk, but the easygoing hired hitman is the guy you want to ride with. Captain Kirk. Here's the one thing that neither Han Solo or Jules have. I'd like to ride on a train once or twice with these two guys, but like a year. Captain Kirk is an educated man. You can talk theory with him.
Yeah, he'll talk.
You can talk. You could. I would love to. I would learn so much from him. Where Han Solo, he's right. He's gonna be like, yeah, leave me alone. He's gonna put the paper up in your face. Jules is gonna just keep.
Great
I'd
conversation.
be terrified.
That makes no sense.
Kirk has never. He's not a hired hitman. He's only had to kill out of self-defense because he's a soldier and a scientist. GrahamElwood.com.
Let's talk conversation.
All right, Dan.
Yes. All right. Well, Shatner would not have heard his son executed on a tricorder. He would have heard it over the communicator, but not on a tricorder. Star Trek geekdom there. The body count for Jules in Pulp Fiction is 3. He shot the guy on the couch. I'm sorry, did I break your concentration? He and John Travolta killed Brett, and he and John Travolta killed the guy that came out from the corner with the hand cannon.
Yeah.
As they say.
Self-defense.
So, body count 3.
Okay.
One of those might have been self-defense.
Thank you.
Jules, sorry, so yep, got that. And Deadpool is the Twitter favorite from the line
no
of our commenters
way.
on Deadpool. Dakota Strack, at Dakota Strack says, if I pick Batman, does that mean we get to ride in the Batmobile with Batman?
You're on a train.
And
Great point.
Anthony Hernandez at Tony Bologna 91 says, if I'm going on a bus, I trust this guy. And it was just a gif of Keanu Reeves.
How many wives has Kirk slept with? Do we know?
I was looking. It's he is a
At least more
womanizer
than one?
definitely, but I haven't found any concrete examples of wife stealing.
Right.
That's a
No
hard stat to
wife
look
stealing.
up, though. It's a hard stat to look up.
He will steal your wife. He will sleep with your wife, and he'll send you the video.
If you're some dumb
Hide your
guy,
wife, hide your kids. Right. Okay.
Yeah. Had your female children.
Based on the arguments, I do think John and JT, you were really good there, but you sort of did beat each other. You made conflicting arguments that sort of then knocked both of you out, and Graham took advantage of that and did sway me at the end with how Han would be bored and he'd be terrified of your guy, and there's a long journey. Graham brought some really good points together. You get the point, Graham.
Damn.
boom, it's a 5-year journey.
That was my
You guys shifted your arguments so much. You're like, well, mine's dangerous, but then you both, just.
His is the most boring, but probably is the safest. I'll give him that.
Our Twitter poll agrees with Graham, by the way. I'm sorry, no, our Twitter poll agrees with John. 55% voted for Han Solo.
Because he wouldn't ignore you. He would sit and talk
He'd
with you.
probably
Ignore. I mean, come on, he'd probably have the get away, kid.
He's your friend.
Still, it'd be kind of cool. You'd be like, oh my God, it's Han Solo.
This is very good.
Round three. Travis of Marvel wants us to talk about the Pirates movie. That's right. Dead Men Tell No Tales was released. The trailer with some mixed reactions, I guess it says here, and I guess it was on what I saw online. But Travis wants to know what we would do to fix the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. What could we do to rejuvenate this franchise, make it exciting, get us excited to see it? Feels like most people are like, okay, whatever. Do we need another one? How do we get people to be like, yes, all right, I'm back on board. I'm excited for Pirates, and we're starting with you, JT.
So for me to make this movie better, I need to switch up the formula. It seems like what they do with every film is they just cast a new villain, a big baddie who's supernatural. Jack Sparrow's the Jack Sparrow, and there's a couple, set dressing actors placed around him. I need somebody that could compete with Jack Sparrow in the charisma department. So what I want to do is I want to cast another pirate, not a villain, but another pirate who is on the same level as Jack Sparrow as being like notorious, funny. He's kind of a Don Juan. He could woo the women. And you create this competition between Jack Sparrow and this other pirate. It'll be the first time where Jack Sparrow is not just the one guy you're putting all your charisma and all your story around this one guy. Because listen, I get it. The reason why I still will give these movies a chance is because Jack Sparrow's such a fun character. But I don't want to just see Jack Sparrow plugged into another Pirates movie. I want to see him actually be challenged. And I think this would be the best way to rejuvenate the franchise.
John, what are you doing?
Yeah, mine is give Jack Sparrow a kid he didn't know he had, who he has to teach to be a pirate and also to explore. Hey, don't shake your head. Let me finish,
I'm not
JT,
shaking.
for
I'm not
God's sakes.
shaking.
So for me, I think it's interesting to see that because we like you said, we go to see Johnny Depp, but Johnny Depp's getting long in the tooth. And the last few films that he's done outside of the Pirates franchise haven't been necessarily great. So for me, you want to introduce a new up-and-coming actor who's going to play his son. He'll challenge him, not only as an actor, like outside the film, you're watching two actors kind of go toe-to-toe, which will make it exciting. And you can still make him what JT talked about. You can still make him the good-looking guy. You can still make him challenging. You can do all the things that JT was talking about, but you make the family relationship there, and you continue that, which we had with Keith Richards in the second and third movie coming in as his dad. So you have this thing where it becomes generational, and it's relatable to moviegoers who are dads, who are sons, who have grandfathers, those kinds of things. So you bring those people back into the franchise, you make it interesting, you make it fun, and you rejuvenate it all over again, because if Jack Sparrow decides to retire at the end of the movie, you have a new pirate to take over who is related to Jack Sparrow, just like we have with Princess Bride. We had the idea of Dread Pirate Roberts. It's that kind of thing over again, and it'd be so much more interesting. And you've established, you've saved your franchise as a studio, and you can keep going and at least do two more of these afterwards, and make a fantastic new franchise, and keep the name and everything. You would just change the character a little bit, and you'd come up with a kick-ass name for the guy's son.
Graham.
Both you guys, I think, make very compelling points.
Thank you, Graham.
Where I differ is I stopped giving a shit about this franchise like 14 movies ago. I liked the first one. It was Johnny Depp was great, and I'm so over Johnny Depp. Like in The Lone Ranger, he's got that dumb bird on his head. I can't watch these movies anymore. They're the same thing over and over. Like I'd rather just go to Disneyland and ride the goddamn ride from the 1950s. Blow it all up. Put them all on the ship and blow it out of the water. One guy survives. It's Tom Hardy, and he starts builds his own ship out of nothing, sort of Lost style on a crazy island, and then goes out for completely new adventures that are funny and stuff like that, but they created this formula out of a ride, and then they feel like they have to stick with it. You don't. Like a page one rewrite, man, and make it a little more gritty. Make it a little more like scary. Make it a little more like show actual pirates. Have a little sense of humor to it, but I'd make it more of a dark, gritty, like tough kind of like, oh shit, with some humorous moments, but like no joke. This is what being a pirate actually was, and just those other movies, they're fine. That's done, but make this go for the adults. Make this the graphic novel of this. All
right.
Listen, you're pitching a whole new movie. This is how do you rejuvenate the Pirates film that we know already?
Yeah.
You cannot take Jack Sparrow.
It said franchise. It didn't say movie.
It is a franchise.
Yeah.
You can't take Jack Sparrow out. It's like watching Rambo without Rambo. I don't want to see that. I want to see Pirates with Jack Sparrow. And the way Mai introduces it, it gives him something new to do. The kid thing just feels lazy to me. Throw a kid in there.
You just described Orlando Bloom's character, and my concept is lazy? What the hell are you talking about?
I'm talking about the kid.
A new
Jack
good-looking
Sparrow.
guy that's going to challenge Jack Sparrow and be a pirate and be
Orlando
with the women.
Bloom has little to no charisma when compared to Jack Sparrow.
Go talk to the ladies and tell me if he has no charisma,
I'm
JT.
talking about somebody that is in the same build as Jack Sparrow. Get somebody like Channing Tatum. That guy would be amazing. Channing Tatum would be amazing. You come in, you put him a whole outfit. He's like a Don Juan. The one thing Jack Sparrow's always does, he's good at getting the ladies. Imagine if he's one up throughout the whole movie, and he's just like
the monosyllabic guy that drags his knuckles.
You finally get to see Jack Sparrow, the most confident pirate in all the sea, actually questioning, is he the best? And the thing with the kid, like, who do you got playing the kid? I'm just curious. How old is the kid? That's another thing I need to know.
Yeah, well, Johnny's in his 50s, so the kid could be in his
So
late
Channing
20s.
Tatum is his kid?
It could be Jack O'Connell. It could be any number of people. You could have Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who'd be fantastic, as we saw him playing Bruce Willis in the past in Looper, one of your favorite films.
Here's the problem.
So certainly possible.
By adding this family aspect of having a kid and watching over him, you're taking away part of what I like about the Pirates movies, especially Jack Sparrow. He's always riding that line between hero and villain. There's times where he's double-crossing and
Welcome
double-crossing.
to being a dad.
Pirates...
JT,
Listen, pirates.
to break it to you, but I'm sure Andy would agree.
What I love about these films is the pirates are not good guys. They're just pirates being pirates. I feel like adding that family aspect to it, it just kind of takes away from what the Pirates movies are. And
I feel
They're
like
based on a family ride at Disney. What do you mean that's taking away the stuff of the family
ride?
ride?
Have you seen these other movies?
Yes, I've seen
They're
all of them,
killing
including
guys,
on Stranger
they're stabbing
Tides.
them.
Yeah, but it's all done in slapstick humor. It's not really done in
It's
a
like a
very
Geico
dark.
commercial.
It's not dark or gritty, or else it'd be his movie.
Oh yeah, the
which it
opening of
isn't.
Dead Man's
My
Chest
movie's
where
gonna
they
be great.
hang.
No, your movie is going to drive people away, and it will kill the franchise.
In the
This
very
franchise is dead.
In the very beginning of Dead
That's
Man's
not what the question is, Graham.
In the very beginning of Dead Man's Chest, 3 pirates walk up, including a kid, and get hung. There was nothing slapstick or funny about it.
Yeah, they do that.
It was dark.
No.
But
But you don't see the
make
kid
it that dark.
dangling. You just
They
see the
make it that
feet.
dark. That
You
happens
see the
now.
feet. You don't see the kid dangling.
I still see a kid about to get hung and get hung.
Yeah, but you don't see the you don't
it's
see
not
the
ra-
hanging
'cause it's not rated
Because it's a
R.
family movie,
Right.
right? That's what you're trying to rejuvenate the franchise. You want to bring people in. if you look at a rejuvenate franchise, that means from the studio's perspective, how to rejuvenate this thing. You rejuvenate this thing to make money. How are you going to do it? To appeal to the family aspects of the movie. So you bring in a kid, you bring in a good actor that's going to play off Johnny, can have elements of Johnny and elements of Keith Richards and his own elements. That's a good challenge for a very strong actor. And you'd have this, and then once again, you bring in kids in, you can bring in children in, and that rejuvenates the franchise. And if you want to hand it off, you can hand it off, and the movies still work without Johnny Depp.
John, what you're talking about is just making an animated movie. Like, just make a cartoon of Jack Sparrow and the merry band of guys.
These films aren't cartoons live action cartoons in a way.
But that's my point though. That's not a reboot. That's not a rejuvenating of a franchise. It's just sort of like, all right, here's another version of the same thing we've been doing, just more different kid stuff. Like, I think to rejuvenate, as the question is, how would you rejuvenate the
which means make money.
It
does mean make money.
Because
it doesn't mean limit it to R-rated audiences. It means make money.
I didn't say limit.
What you're talking about is R-rated audience.
I didn't say R. You put an R on it.
You said gritty. That's R-rated.
The Nolan trilogy, PG-13, which was a rejuvenation of all of these awful. I'm going back to Batman because that's what they did. They took all of these slapsticky, with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Kill D. Those were cartoonish, slapsticky movies, and that's what these Pirates movies have been. You give me a Christopher Nolan Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy, I'm in. It would be fantastic, and I'll even take your cast. I'll even take Channing Tatum, but what I'll do is I'll make him and Tom Hardy are like, they start fighting and stuff like that, but then they got to really go deep into terms of why am I acting this way and why did you become a pirate? Get their stories. They'd be horrifying.
You're pitching a pirate movie, not a Pirates movie.
Right.
We're talking about the franchise.
When I hear rejuvenate, I don't bring anything from the old franchise. I don't want anything.
You have to.
Why? It's a goddamn ride in a kids park.
There's 4 films. There's bound to be 5. You have to take something from those films.
Oh boy, I don't want to lose this character.
Yeah, but you can't do a complete course change
Why not?
because you'll lose all those other fans, and a studio would never do that.
You mean those fans that were 7 years old that are now 26?
Right, they have kids, and those 7-year-olds are going to go into the theater. That's what it's done. That's why fast food companies wait for you to die so they can take your kids. That's how it works. They have to keep making their money. The rejuvenated franchise is to make money. If you rejuvenate, you bring a new actor in who's going to take over and be interesting.
If you make it older, if you go PG-13, all those 26-year-olds will go, oh, now I'm in.
Right.
Because this thing from my childhood is going to get grittier now that I'm an adult. I don't need bubblegum and popcorn.
All right, last thoughts here, starting with you, JT. Again, I like all your pitches. I get where you're going. What is yours bringing that the others isn't?
The things mine's bringing is something new for Jack Sparrow to tackle that he hasn't tackled in his last 5 films. Is adding a family aspect, which has already been seen in this film with his dad. So yeah, there is some groundwork there, but I want to do something totally different. I want to bring another A-list actor who has the charisma to pull off a Jack Sparrow 2.0. You don't think Disney would love to have Jack Sparrow and another guy right there with him? Because right now there's nobody. It's not Orlando Bloom. It's not Keira Knightley. The only one's close was Jeffrey Rush.
Yeah.
And he was the villain. I'm talking
Not
about...
for the last 2 films.
But he was barely a good guy. He was a villain. I really want somebody that's going to challenge Jack Sparrow and almost try to upseat him as the new Jack Sparrow. And that's what's going to be so fun about it. You got these 2 great characters who are charismatic, both A-list actors, and it's going to bring new dynamic to the series that we haven't seen before. Not family.
John?
What you're talking about is already in my movie. This whole idea of being. So we're already taking your story, and I'm going to augment it. And that is this whole thing. You have a younger guy coming in. You have a guy who's going to challenge him. You have a guy who's going to make him question. But what you have is a generational film, and it's a Disney property, Disney franchise. So if you're rejuvenating it, you've got to appeal to multi-generational families, and that's what my concept does. And it puts that into motion in finding a new guy that's going to come in and be interesting and be exciting, and you have like you have with Bucky and Captain America, the possibility that Bucky will take over and become Captain America. You've laid the groundwork with the audience with this actor who's taking over as the son, and all the things you're talking about, all the challenges, everything else, plus it'll be relatable to dads and sons and grandfathers who have been through that. And you could bring back Keith Richards, and you have dynamic there with all 3 of them going through it. Yes, you're right with Orlando Bloom and Keira Knightley and Jeffrey. Yeah, Jeffrey Rush was fantastic. So we already saw him being challenged multiple times in that way, and Jeffrey Rush is in his way. It was going to children. So you want to see something new, and you want to see something familiar. It'll be difficult for him.
Can I say one thing that Graham?
Okay. These guys. So it's. I don't know. You should be a movie executive because you just took everybody's idea that was in the room. That was fantastic. Yes, perfect. Love it.
Got it. Put it in there.
That's in mine. Get
Helgeland on the phone. Have him write it.
So I mean, what? I don't want, if I'm going to do a complete rejuvenation of this property, I'm going to make it gritty and PG-13. You bring up Disney. Look how Disney the Marvel superhero movies were awful. They were the bad ones. The DC ones were the great ones. Marvel has done great stuff making movies. There is some grittiness to these Marvel movies, and yet you can have kids in there. You can have PG-13. The adults have a great time, but it's not even. You don't even need that. It's not even the disparity that you have in like a Pixar film. That's a kids movie that has a couple adult jokes. These are adult movies that have some stuff that kids can make. It's gritty. It could be completely different. And if everyone's like, "Wow, what happened to the old ones?" Then re-release them on DVD and put in a new, just do what George Lucas did with the original Star Wars. Just put new robots in there going, gritty reboot.
I have one more point I wanted to make. There's one more point I wanted to make.
Yes.
Hashtag gritty reboot.
Well, Tyler Myers at Myers FTW and I both noticed that the pirates and the kids were hanged at the beginning of the third movie.
Third movie.
World's
Oh, the
End,
third,
not
not
the
second.
second movie.
My
The
bad.
second movie starts with the wedding of Orlando Bloom and Keira Knightley.
Right.
Every Pirates movie actually has already been PG-13. All 4 movies have been rated PG-13.
Yep.
And I'll bring it up later. There's a silver bullet to somebody's argument that I noticed and that several people on Twitter noticed.
Interesting.
That we will talk about as well as the Twitter poll, Andy, after you've made your
Oh,
decision.
interesting.
I don't want to sway anything.
I have a feeling it's mine.
I think based on those arguments of everything I heard, I gotta give it to JT.
What? Oh, come on!
I think you explained to me why that's sort of the new thing we went, whereas Graham, I think you went so far, and then there's a gritty moments, as JT pointed out, in the movies already. And then you just did take everybody's sort of ideas, and then you sort of acknowledged you were taking his idea, so it was like you sort of were giving in to
making
that
it better.
point. So JT got the point for me. Go ahead, Dan.
Well, the Twitter poll actually, 42% voted for Give Jack Sparrow a Rival, 37% for Tom Hardy. But what I noticed, and if I've been fighting, and what a few people, including Brandon Wright at Movies on Twitter, noticed was that John's strategy of casting a kid
I knew it.
who could then take over the franchise was beat for beat Shia LaBeouf and Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Oh, no.
That was absolutely what they did.
I
in
would have
Indiana
cast a
Jones
better
and the
actor.
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which several people on Twitter
No
noticed.
aliens.
So, John, I was waiting for somebody to break that out against you, and nobody did.
That's a good one. That's
Yeah.
a good one.
All right, well, JT's
Respect.
up 2-1. Here we go to Graham. John, you still got a shot. It's not over.
All right.
There you go.
There we go.
This one comes from Twitter. Guys, Netflix is releasing a series of Lemony Snicket's series of unfortunate events. So we wanted to ask this question from Daniel Lewis, who asked us, what children's movie should come back as a Netflix series? Or hell, we could put it anywhere, but what's a good children's movie that deserves a reboot as a longer form series? And we're going to start with you, John. What are you picking?
Well, since I work in the Harry Potter land, I say Harry Potter. That's my decision because I think this is a fantastic series with so many layers, so much depth, enough to spark a separate land that is created on 3 separate places in Orlando and LA and in Japan. Like, this is amazing that it can do that. And so I think you bring it back to a Netflix series because there's so many worlds to explore here. Even the minor characters were fantastic to watch in all of these films, to see them grow, to see them go to adulthood. And then you can bring them back as dads, you can bring them back as occasional guest stars if you create a whole new world. We see this with Cursed Child now, with the play that's out. There is a hunger in the public for more Harry Potter. People love this franchise. People love, like, the first couple of films you could argue were kind of uneven, and then it really found its stride all the way to the end, and people would love to go. And Netflix has a way of doing the gritty stuff, which you mentioned. You could go gritty with Potter, you could go more fantastical with Potter. Fantastic Beasts and whatever is coming out because people cannot get enough. And I think this is the time to strike where the iron is hot. And I think Netflix is fantastic with they're showing with Daredevil, with Luke Cage, with Jessica Jones. They can play in that game, but they also have these other, like Grace and Frankie. They have great track record. Kimmy Schmidt. They could go any number of directions with Harry Potter that you want to go and be successful at it and be something that people would want to binge, and they would not get enough of. You would sell property, merchandise, what have you. It would keep going, and I think that would be fantastic to explore that.
Graham.
We're probably all in agreement that Netflix is doing great stuff. For me, it's Lord of the Flies. I read the book. And they made a movie in 1963 that was a black and white version.
Yes.
Then they did a color version in 1990. I believe that's a photo from the color version.
Yep.
I think.
Is it the colors that get you there?
Yeah. what Netflix is doing, their model is so amazing. They are doing big properties, but they're also doing stuff we've never heard of. They're just making great content. The networks and even the movie studios are so hung up on big name actors, and then like Stranger Things comes out. There's no, I mean, everyone rushing to watch that because of Winona Ryder, you know, like Orange is the New Black. They're doing amazing content and long form episodic content. There's no commercial breaks. They can do whatever they want. And you take Lord of the Flies and you make that. The problem with the two movies is, like a lot of movies that are adapted from a novel, you just have to leave so much out, and you lose so much that in a 10 to 13 or however, that's the other thing, Netflix, there's no rules. They don't have to make a 13 like a network. They could do whatever services that story, which is a fantastic book. And the movie's tried, but it's too short of a form for the book. If you did 13 episodes of Lord of the Flies with a bunch of no-name, just amazing kid actors like they cast with Stranger Things, those kids are amazing. It would be one of those things that everyone's like, what the hell is this? I'm on board. And I think, yes, Lord of the Flies, Netflix.
Right. JT, what's your pick in the wall fight?
That's an interesting choice. I'm going to go with... Nostalgia is huge right now. People love going back and revisiting things from like the 80s and 90s and reinventing it for today.
Remember nostalgia?
Yeah. You remember Labyrinth? That's what I'm going with. I'm going with Labyrinth. Jim Henson. The world needs more Jim Henson.
He's dead.
Fact. No, they need more of his creatures.
okay.
The more of his studio's still open here in Hollywood.
Yes.
I love Jim Henson growing up, and I don't feel like we get any kind of his imagination these days. Labyrinth is one of the best 80s fantasy films, and it's done with almost very, very little CGI. It's puppets and set design. You could bring all these great characters, Sir Didymus, the Rock Guy, Hoggle. These are people that you could bring back because they're puppets. All you need is voice actors. So all the core characters that you love from that movie could come back into this series. All you have to do is cast a new Goblin King, a new girl, and for me, I think each season will be a different Labyrinth. First episode, the story begins, and I'm thinking 8-episode run, just like Stranger Things. By the end, you're at the conclusion. And I think just the possibilities where you go with this are endless.
All right, fight it out.
Okay.
I feel like Labyrinth is a decent choice, but I feel like Stranger Things has sort of covered a lot of that 80s sci-fi mystery, fantasy stuff. Whereas
Labyrinth and Stranger Things are alike. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying they're alike. I'm saying it's covered some of the stuff. It's got creatures. It's got
the upside
sci-fi.
down.
It's got fantasy. It's got the upside down world.
Kids movie. Let's remember kids movie.
Right, but I mean, if you're going to put it on Netflix, Netflix isn't like starving to put up kids content because that's not who's watching Netflix.
How many kids are saying, I need to see some Lord of the Rings?
No one was saying, I need to see a woman's prison show until it came out, and then they went, this is amazing. That's what Netflix is doing. They're finding an underserved market, and if you take Lord of the Flies and put it out there, people are going to go, what's this? They're going to watch it and think it's amazing. It doesn't have to be this big property like Daredevil or Labyrinth.
The question is, what kids movie, children's film, do you consider Lord of the Rings to be a children's film?
Lord of the Flies.
Lord of the Flies.
Lord of the Flies,
So,
sorry.
Yeah, Lord of the Flies.
I don't know many kids that watch that movie.
I read it when I was in junior high.
Yeah.
So I was a kid when I read it. I think it's a kid's story. That's the other thing. This assumption that kids just only want to... Kids have a dark side to them. Kids
Which
go through
Labyrinth also has, thank you.
Sure.
Yeah,
but I'm not... I know we're supposed to fight it out, but I think Labyrinth is a great choice. I mean, the reason I think Lord of the Flies is better served is because there's nothing like this. Lord of the Flies hasn't been done correctly, and there's nothing else like this where you have like it's almost like a post-apocalyptic kid movie. It's like Fear the Walking Dead for preteens. Yeah. You know, it's like that would be fantastic. And the other thing, the story, what it does is it relates now to our society more than everything because they start out civilized and then they slowly become more and more savage. They lose themselves. They lose their identity. They take on power struggle. It becomes like a wolf pack. It's our current society that's very divided in this election year and all that stuff. It really is. It would help. American culture, right? Really see where it could go if we keep going down this path. In my opinion,
I just feel like it's a kids.
We've already seen it.
The adults. It's for adults.
Called Survivor, and it's on CBS every. It's the same, but it's the same thing. It's the deconstruction of civilization into back to uncivilized days, and you're doing whatever you can to survive, and you're eating nuts or eating plants.
That's a reality. It's so contrived.
Yeah, but so it's a show. I hate to break it to you, it's contrived.
Right, but
every situation happening is contrived by writers.
It's based on a book. though. It's not the reality
Right,
show
but-
is a ruse.
but
It's showing you anything's happening and it's not. Whereas if I know it's scripted, I know the writer is intentionally taking me down this road, and it's not like a scam.
Yeah, but
like
you
a
know,
reality
shows are scripted. Reality shows are scripted too. It's just based on. It's,
Right,
it's
that's
not
why I don't
true.
like them.
So, but when you look at,
and
but
it's not. It's
Lord of the-
Survivor is not a kid show.
Right, but Lord of the Flies is a small novel. It's not like this thing. It's this thing, and it's nice. So you'll be done in 2 or 3 episodes with that film.
I just don't
when
think
you're
kids-
talking with Harry Potter, you have so many more worlds to explore, so many places to go. With Labyrinth, it's a real limited world. It's a great choice, but it's a limited world, and you're just rehashing the same stuff. Oh, hey, the Goblin King again. Hey, girl again. Whereas with Potter, you can actually go through a whole new thing, a whole new family, a whole new exploration of the magic and dark arts, and you can even start to explore with the versions and the middle versions, like we're seeing now with Star Wars, where we have gray Jedi. We don't necessarily have good or bad; they're just gray. And so there's so much more to explore with Potter in that way, and you already have a built-in audience
problem with
to
Harry
come
Potter-
back to. With Labyrinth, it's
I
going to
think
be
we've done-
limited.
Harry
And with
Potter-
Netflix, it'll be massive.
I love Harry Potter for its epicness and the magic. Those are 2 things I go buy that ticket for because I know I'm going to get a spectacle.
Right.
That spectacle is being shrunken so small onto a Netflix TV show. The budget is only so much for the shows. There's not a show with that many effects on Netflix right now. Daredevil, yeah, they have some great fight choreography. Stranger Things has some monster scenes and some CGI.
Right.
Nothing on the scale of what Harry Potter brings you. When you go watch that movie, you don't have the connection like you would to the original kids.
I don't go
so
for
you're
the-
starting from scratch.
Yeah, I think it's an excellent point. I think Harry Potter's they've done so many different, itinerations of it, and it is a
And it keeps
big
being
screen
successful.
movie.
And it
Yeah,
keeps
but
being
it's a big.
successful.
He's right. It's a big screen 3D
spectacle.
thing.
Yeah, how many people do you think remember Labyrinth? I hate to break it to you, JD.
The
That's 34 years ago.
The 30th
Nobody's-
anniversary Blu-ray just came out 2 weeks
that's-
ago.
that's a
It was
good
It's one
towards
of
the
the
top of the
lowest
charts.
sales.
But
Yeah.
that's a good reason because Netflix is finding stuff that not everybody knows, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why I think Harry Potter would be like, I've seen it. Now you're putting it on a smaller screen.
No.
Whereas Lord of the Flies is something like, what's this? Even Labyrinth to a certain extent. But I mean, Harry Potter. I feel like if the big Harry Potter fans are going to be like.
No, they're not. They're going to be
It's
massively
like watching
insane
Harry Potter
for it.
on a phone.
Everything
you know?
you've done, everything Potter ever does makes money up the ass. So you can't even tell me about nobody would be interested. They wouldn't turn off. That's completely ridiculous. And Lord of the Flies, there's a reason JT never saw it or read it because they're not teaching it anymore. It's a boring story that we've seen a million times. There's nothing new there.
Again,
there's
but
nothing
hold
new
on.
to explore.
There's nothing new to explore. That's like
Piggy,
saying orange is the new black. What do we know about that? Why do we do a read?
No, that's
an
different.
80s
Women in prison
fantasy
film we
movie?
didn't see other than Caged Heat back in the 80s. So I mean,
If you sat a kid down today and said, "Hey, do you want to watch this new Harry Potter movie, The Lord of the Flies,
or some
this
androgynous
Labyrinth?"
weirdo.
I'm
some
not
androgynous
making-
weirdo.
Do you,
with
are you-
some,
how
you
many
know.
you think would pick Lord of the Flies? And also,
I'm not
They
making
pick
Lord
Harry
of the Flies
Potter.
for
Let me say
kids.
Netflix.
You
Pick
said
Harry Potter.
here's why I say Netflix. You said Netflix is because I'm going to the demographic of Netflix, not the demographic. Not
But which
kids.
demographic? Grace and
are-
Frankie is not the Stranger
kids are
Things
huge.
demographic.
Netflix is huge because
Unbreakable
of kids
Kimmy
programming.
Schmidt is not the Luke Cage
The kids-
demographic.
if
If
you
you,
think-
think,
which
if you think
demographic?
kids, once they found out what Lord of the Flies was about, wouldn't want to watch
would
this?
tune out.
Oh my God! How
They
do you
would
know?
be bored.
A 6-year-old would
They're
run away.
bored?
Yes, because
Oh.
like you said, kids are more advanced now than they were before.
My nephews
so they've seen
would
this
want to
before.
recreate this in their backyard.
Kids don't want to see Piggy get killed with a boulder
Yeah.
over the head.
Yeah, they do.
I would have nightmares.
because one of them is Piggy in their world, and one of them isn't.
They're gonna go to school.
So
They're
you want
gonna
Full
kill
Metal
some
Jacket?
kids.
You want Full Metal Jacket?
I want Full Metal Jacket, Lord of the Flies.
The question is, what movie needs?
Final thoughts, yeah, go ahead.
Here, the question is, what movie needs a Netflix show?
No, it says should come back. It doesn't say
What
needs
movie
at
should
all.
come back?
Don't reframe the question.
What should, Harry Potter hasn't gone anywhere. Harry Potter is huge in film. It's huge in Broadway.
It's not on
huge
film
in
anymore, though.
Books. It's Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah, but that's that's an American version.
Listen, it's
Right.
still Harry Potter world.
Okay.
I'm just saying, what should come back? Something that's beloved, that has a positive with all critics.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe it's in the 80s on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's a love letter to what the 80s could do. And it's not going to cost you an arm and leg because it's only set design and puppets. And Harry Potter would be way too expensive. It's not going to translate as well. I don't think it would be horrible. Don't get me wrong. I just
If you
don't.
can do it on the Flash, you can do it on Netflix.
It's CW.
That's what I'm telling you. The budget's
Okay.
about the same.
I don't know about that. You have to look at that, Dan.
It's a cable channel.
I'm just saying, with Labyrinth, you could reimagine a hit movie that hasn't been around for years, and you could do it in a cost-efficient way, and I think it would be a huge hit with adults because they grew up with the film, and kids because it's freaking Jim Henson.
Graham?
Okay, I think the Labyrinth would have an initial remember how great that was when I was a kid, but it would die the way Pokemon Go did. I think everyone was all fired up about Pokemon Go, and no one's
a great
doing it
point.
anymore.
It's a video game.
And I
It has
think
nothing to do with the movie, a show.
I'm talking about. I didn't interrupt
Oh,
you,
sorry,
friend.
sorry.
rules of society. This isn't your labyrinth where you can just make a googly book and have them spin around.
I apologize.
I'm talking more about the Netflix model. Why Netflix has been so successful. They got out of the licensing of pre-existing content game because it cost them money. They lost a lot of content from Starz, so they just went, we want 50 to 100% of our, because they just need subscribers. So they always need new, interesting content, and they're willing to take a risk. Marco Polo, you know what I mean? They're Grace and Frankie, they're trying new stuff, and this is right up their alley where they just let House of Cards, I mean, just new, different stuff where they could go to some amazing filmmakers and writers and say, take this book and put it into 10 to 13 episodes and just make it as great as you want and go into every detail of every page and show that visually. And some people would be like, oh, it's like Wrath of Khan. They pulled it from an episode that was like Ricardo Montalban, some weird episode, and they made it into this amazing thing. If you took this book that's already well, William Golding wrote it, and then expand it into 10 to 13 episodes, you would have amazing, and it would be another thing. We go, there's Netflix again, just doing something that we never anticipated, thought of, that has blown us all away. And we've seen enough Harry Potter.
No, we haven't.
Go ahead, John.
Not in any way, shape, or form. I would invite you to come to my land any day you want and show you they have not seen enough Harry Potter. You cannot fill the cup for Harry Potter in the public. People love it so much. We had 24,000 guests the other day. That's unheard of in the middle of a week. And so that's
Harry Potter's popular. I get it. What are we seeing though?
So what I'm getting to here, and this whole idea of what you were talking about, we've already seen it. Kid Town, Kids USA, whatever it was on Fox. We've seen reality show
Fox
versions of
Netflix.
this. I didn't interrupt you, friend.
Sorry, you're right.
I didn't interrupt you, friend.
Oh yeah, I'm big at you.
So, but with JTE, this whole idea of lab, there's a reason it's a cult film. It's cult. It's a small audience. If you want, and like you were talking about, you want to increase subscribers. You bring back, and they do have licensed content. All their Marvel stuff is pre-licensed. So you have that with Harry Potter. You bring it in. You explore something new. You occasionally have Daniel Radcliffe come back. This is great stunt casting. People want to watch. People cannot have enough. So you want to talk about what can come back. That version of Harry Potter could come back. They're adults. They have kids. Like we see with Cursed Child, the play is like killing it right now and selling out because people are interested to see what happens now, what happened to them, what happens to Harry, what happens to Hermione, what happens to Ron, what happens to all the Weasleys, what happens to all these people, what happens to Draco, what happens to the Malfoys. All this could be explored still, and it'd be fantastic, and people want to see them come back and do it in smaller versions, and you'd introduce new characters, and you'd keep the franchise going, and you could tie it up to Fantastic Beasts at some point as well, like they did with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Captain America.
All right, Dan.
Yes, so much to delve into. First of all, a confirmation from a lot of high schoolers that watch this show and from Ashley Davis at That's Mrs. Davis. She's a big fan who's also a teacher, confirming that Lord of the Flies is still very much taught in high school. A lot of people saying that they both enjoyed and did not enjoy having to read that in their high school English classes.
So why would they watch it?
JTE, you've coined one of the favorite phrases, or the favorite phrase from today's show, which was, by the end, you're at the conclusion.
Yes. Did I say that?
Yeah, people love that. And
Chalk that up on the board.
a lot of suggestions from Twitter. At Tampa BuckFan88 suggested Monster Squad. At Droocher suggested Spy Kids. At Ryumayu suggested The Neverending Story. At Ouch This Megahertz, a big fan of ours, suggested The Rescuers, which they thought would be a very fun Netflix series. So a lot of opinions, not a lot of agreement on who's right. So this should be fun, and of course the Twitter poll, as always. When you're ready, Andy.
Andy, you look a little distraught.
Struggling on this one.
Well, I'll be honest. It's not John. I mean, I just think.
Oh, wow.
They got you because it's like, one, it is coming back. It's everywhere, Harry Potter, and why would we want it on the small scale like they're saying? Like that's a big screen, big deal, and they're doing it with movies every year. So I think they just sort of pointed that out to you. We're getting plenty of Harry Potter still. So it just really comes down to Lord of the Flies and Labyrinth. And honestly, these are both, and you both were very good, but I guess where I'm going to go based on the arguments is the fact that you all even admitted how much you liked Labyrinth. It was really a coin toss for me, but the fact that you both sort of gave him even the props yourselves gave JT a little bit of the tip of the hat, so
Thanks,
JT
guys.
gets the point.
Thank you, guys.
But I really watched the Lord of the Flies one too. It was based on your arguments, you were And you both hit out Harry Potter well together. Dan, go ahead. Sorry, John.
No, means I still have a shot though.
Yeah, no, you don't. But
To tie? To tie Graham is one. Oh, okay. You already decided I'm gonna lose.
You're right.
Thanks, Andy.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andy.
You're right. You still have a shot. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, the Twitter poll at Screen Junkies, 47% voted for the Harry Potter Extended Universe, 32% voted for Lord of the Flies, 21% backing Labyrinth.
Go watch Labyrinth, people.
It's a cult film.
All right, here we go. Round 5. We're having some fun here. Wolverine Logan. I'm sorry, it's not called Wolverine anymore. It's called Logan. I think a lot of senior citizens are going to go, let's see that Logan film, and be quite surprised. But thanks to Logan coming out and the big reveal, we wanted to ask this question. We've asked who's going to play Wolverine. We've done a lot of questions. Can't really fight about that poster. The poster is pretty badass. So here's the fun question. If you could we want you to, if you could improve any movie by replacing the lead character with Wolverine, what would it be? So take a movie, replace the lead character in it as Wolverine, and tell me why that's the best movie. Graham, you're starting first.
Brooklyn. Here's why. That movie is painfully boring, did not deserve any Academy nominations.
Wow.
It's just this Irish girl going, I don't know, rich boy, I want to marry, and I just was like, give me some Wolverine in there. First of all, he's taking control of that boarding house. She gets kind of shoved around. Oh, America's. He'd be like, I'm in charge of the boarding house. He'd be
Who is he replacing?
Saoirse Ronan. I know I'm not pronouncing her name correctly.
No, it's Cersei. Right?
Don't answer me.
It's Saoirse. You're right.
I believe it's Saoirse Ronan.
Inertia. That's right. I saw her say it. It rhymes with inertia. Saoirse.
It's Tom Brokaw.
Saoirse Ronan. Go ahead.
Saoirse Ronan, he's replacing her, and instead of this, it is turning Brooklyn at the turn of the century into just a battleground. He's going to take on gangs. He's going to toughen up every girl at the boarding house, and instead of going back to Ireland and I can't decide which boy I want to marry, he's going to just be like, I'm going to marry all of them, and I think he's just going to take charge, and it's going to be awesome, and no one in that era has ever seen a man that strong. Now, one caveat, he can't say goodbye to his mom where he kisses and goes on the ship because he could scratch up his face. That's my only thing.
Right.
We got to reshoot that scene, but otherwise, I want Wolverine wreaking havoc in Brooklyn and in
Ireland
and in the land of my ancestors, Ireland.
All right, JT.
Great potato farmer.
Yeah.
Thump, pulls it out.
You just ruined what I think to be a delightful film. I thought Brooklyn was just delightful.
I agree.
I thought it was a great film. I'm going to go. I want to see Wolverine F stuff up, man. That's the best Wolverine. When he's at his best, he's just pissed and taking dudes out. So let's replace Patrick Swayze in Red Dawn. Not only is the best scene of all the X-Men films of Wolverine is in the Xavier school when the freaking SWAT teams come in to try and take out the kids. The opening scene of Red Dawn, the soldiers take on the school. You get to see Wolverine go through Hull and just taking out Russians left and right. The freaking Russians, man. Cold War at the height of its power. Now,
The Cold War at the height of its
now
power.
this is another great thing. What do they call the high school team over there? I believe it's Wolverines.
Wow.
He's Wolverine already. He's the Wolverines. And I love seeing a military aspect of this because that's where Logan started off in Weapon X. So you actually ties in with the whole thing. You can even bring Omega Red, who fought with the Russian Soviet, as the villain against him in this movie. It's freaking amazing. It writes itself. I can't believe I won.
Yeah.
All right, John.
Yeah. So you want a Canadian to defend America? Okay, good, real smart.
Yeah.
Real smart. So what I
he's
would say is
Australian.
Van Helsing. No, he's Canadian. Wolverine is Canadian.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah, get hip. So what I'm talking about is Van Helsing. That's the one I want because Van Helsing is not that good of a film. So you're saying the question is, what improve any movie by replacing lead character, right? Brooklyn's already a good film. Red Dawn's already a good film. Van Helsing is not. And so if you replace the main character, which is Hugh Jackman already, and you make him Wolverine, you've got a better film, right? He's fighting you can fight the werewolves right there with his claws. Fantastic stuff. Has the relationship with Kate Beckinsale. Plus, he's already a loner. That's already inbred in what he's doing here. With Red Dawn, he has to be around people. Wolverine cannot handle being around people. He likes to be alone. And the same thing with Brooklyn. He would not be wanting to be with anybody. He'd want to be on his own. There'd be no love story. There'd be nothing going on there. And he wouldn't care to go back and visit his mom before she died. But with what I'm talking with Van Helsing, you've got so many aspects to explore. You've got Dracula. You've got the Frankenstein. You've got the werewolf. So you add Wolverine, then you have so much fun. And you have people that can actually fight him and match him, and it's interesting to watch. Plus, you're blending genres, which is a fun thing to do in a film. So you're already improving the film just by throwing Wolverine in there, and all the possibilities that could happen in both the underworld and in the real world. And so there's so much to explore with him, and Logan is such a fantastic character. You can really have him tested as an actor and as a character in a film like this with these storylines.
All right, fight it out, guys.
Okay, Van Helsing, your version of it is just an off-brand Wolverine movie.
Let's take Hugh
still
Jackman
improved.
and replace it with Hugh Jackman.
It's just there's
Improve
nothing,
any movie is
Have
what
you
the
seen
question
a
is.
picture of
there's
Van
nothing
Helsing?
different.
Did
There's
you
nothing
see-
different.
It does. It will be a better film.
No,
it's
one of the things I enjoy about Van Helsing, the one little thing I enjoy about that film is all the gadgets and tools he has in that movie. He has blades that he could shoot out of his hands. You're taking that away,
Wolverine.
you're just replacing it with claws. You're taking away one of the cool things about Van Helsing.
And that's my problem with it being in Red Dawn. Red Dawn with Wolverine would be a 15-minute movie. Part of the appeal
Not even
of
that.
Red Dawn is these high school kids
Right.
got to learn how to fight. They're fighting professional soldiers that have
Yeah.
snuck in the same way they did in Afghanistan. And it's like they're up in the hills and they're, let it turn, man, let it turn to something else. Pat Swayze? Oh, man, you can't get rid. I'm crazy for
I'm going
Swayze.
with Graham on this
you
one.
can't get rid of the Swayze, baby.
Let me tell you why I would work with that way, because he is actually the only military trained there. These kids in that movie Red Dawn have no training and they become guerrilla
That's
warfare.
right,
So you the whole point of the
Yes.
film. You undercut
Yes.
the whole point of the
No,
film.
but it's a little.
Wouldn't it be great if they were all Navy SEALs?
You don't
It's like-
improve it in any way, shape, or
It's
form.
more realistic.
You destroy it by
It
adding
actually helps
Wolverine.
the story. It's a better told story because you have a guy training these kids.
No.
You have a guy training these kids of how to do warfare from a guy who's been through every single war since he's been born.
So you're saying I want to take the 1980 U.S. Olympic team and I want to put a professional on there,
Yeah,
who's,
and
then
they'd really
and then
beat
the
the
miracle
Russians.
on ice doesn't happen because it doesn't on Miracle
You're
anymore.
talking about kids thrown into a
yes,
dangerous
there's
situation.
kids on the American team. They
I'm
were
just
all
saying.
college kids.
So you think like social services should have come through the
They
Red
were
Dawn
trained
set?
by one of the greatest coaches in
Yeah,
history
but he was
of
not a
coaches.
profession. There's not a professional leading like you're talking about with Wolverine leading
whole-
them.
yeah,
Professional.
it's-
He's not on the ice. Wolverine would be in the battlefield.
Kids
But
are-
Brooks was never on the
Of course
ice.
he's in. I want
there
to
was
see
what I'm saying.
Wolverine taking out Soviets left and right.
Well, yeah, but your logic against Van Helsing is it's just another Wolverine movie. So it would be the same thing. It's just another Wolverine movie.
You're taking away
and
his
he's fighting
gadgets
the Russian.
by taking
What gadgets?
Go back to that picture.
The blades? The blades? He already has blades.
He has
He's got his
crossbows.
gadgets.
He has grappling hooks. He has
Right,
blades
so you
that
have
he can throw.
Wolverine. So
He has-
right, exactly.
Oh,
so
look at all
Wolverine,
that.
exactly.
just-
So now Wolverine will have to figure out how to defeat
Wolverine's
them.
It's like
and
Wolverine's
create his
fraternal
own
twin.
gadgets.
I mean, I just can't even.
The reason he has things that he could throw is because these damn vampires could fly all around him. What's
Right.
Logan
Let me tell you
gonna
this.
do?
I'll tell you this
He's gonna
right
be
now.
jumping like a kitten trying to hit
Your
his
two
string.
guys'
exactly.
movies, it's just like kind of versions of it. You're making them worse. I defy you. You show Brooklyn. You
Sure.
don't tell
Brooklyn.
anybody.
You don't have to
tell
defy me. I'll tell you.
You don't tell anyone what I've done.
An Oscar-nominated
Yeah. And then-
film that was
Overrated, and it was part of the Oscar
that
so white
critics-
problem.
Critics loved.
An independent film. You
Critics
wanna
loved it.
add,
Who
yes,
cares
they
what
did.
the critics think?
An independent film. You want to add Wolverine to an independent film.
Yes,
You think that's going to work?
because then I wouldn't fall asleep. I fell asleep.
He's not
during
even
Brooklyn.
Irish.
Who's he fighting in this movie?
Yeah,
He's
not
fighting.
fighting anybody.
He's fighting the Italians and everybody that's trying to take over the, the Irish.
okay,
in New
all
York.
right. Oh,
Hey, this is
Oh,
an old
Graham,
school
well,
beef.
calm down.
This is an old school beef. All right, I'm Irish.
calm down.
I got to settle some scores, and
All
me and the
right.
Wolverine are going to do it. This is like 5 points.
No, it doesn't make any
It's,
sense to put
it's
in
my
Brooklyn.
gangs of New York.
It's a joke to put in Brooklyn because the movie wouldn't even work without with him in it.
No, it would-
And the
oh.
question is, how do you improve it? And you don't improve it by putting
I'm
Wolverine
improving
in
that
there.
movie. That movie
No.
was born. No, just because you
it's not
liked it-
realistic.
Just because you. And Van Helsing is realistic.
For the
Boy,
world
put
it's
it-
created, it is.
And
If
Van
you're gonna
Helsing's
accept-
real, and it's realistic
gonna
for him to
accept-
be in a high school in Colorado
It's
and fight
not.
the
It's
Soviets.
not. That's why I don't think that movie's right. But
Right.
if,
Van Helsing-
if you're going to create a fantastical character like Wolverine, you got to put him in a fantastical setting. That's Van
That's
Helsing.
not true.
That is absolutely true.
The best.
There is no Wolverine
the
movie
thing-
that doesn't have other mutants in it.
The movie,
Final thought, GT, go.
The movie, The Wolverine, was good until it got supernatural and superhero-y. That film was better when it was grounded.
one are you talking
I'm talking about The Wolverine.
The last one?
The last one that came out.
the Silver Samurai?
Yeah, before the Silver Samurai came out and became a giant robot,
Yeah.
it was good because it felt like old school Wolverine comics where it was just him down and gritty, almost like a Western. And that's where they're going with his slogan when they're going to make it down and gritty.
Mm-hmm.
Red Dawn is a down gritty PG-13 film. You throw him in there, we get to see him do what he does best.
You're so ridiculous.
Mess dudes up with a military setting.
Yeah, and it's over in 10 minutes.
No, because that's the thing about Wolverine. That's
Mm-hmm.
why I love his character. It's because he is not Superman. He is not this guy who could just throw tanks across the floor. He is literally a guy who has to get down and dirty and up and close with his people that he has
With
to kill.
healing powers.
I respect.
Yeah.
So he can never die.
All right.
That's what I'm saying.
Go ahead, Graham. Final thoughts.
Okay, I respect the fact that you know you've lost and you're still fighting.
No way.
Because it makes zero sense to have Wolverine and Red Dawn. You then get rid of everything that's great about it. It's just like, let's give all the kids, superpowers. They're all bit by radioactive spiders.
I never said give the kids superpowers.
No, but putting them in there, it ruins the whole thing. They're kids who have to become soldiers. They're forced into it. They have to become guerrillas at age 16. That's the beauty
avenge
of it.
their dads.
To avenge their dads, right? Okay. Van Helsing, it's the same actor even. Like there's nothing new. It's just one guy has a coat with crazy powers and the other guy has metal coming out of his fists. Brooklyn, you would never see that coming. And just because critics think it's great, I could give you a list if we had more time of all the horrible movies that critics liked. It was boring, pretentious, art house nonsense, and it was part of the problem why the Oscars so white. There were so many other movies with that had actors of all different ethnicities that should have been nominated. That movie was boring.
So you want to replace with another white actor?
Right. Well,
there we go. Boom.
Wolverine isn't white. He's an animal, so it's a diverse cast.
John, final thought.
That's a great save. It doesn't work, but that's a great save. No, so what you were talking about, absolutely undercut the whole idea of the movie. It destroys it. There's no longer any underdogs. They're not underdogs in any way, shape, or form.
Talking about Red Dawn.
Yeah, Red Dawn. Brooklyn, you take away there are not that many good Irish films that cross over. This was a really good film that explored the whole idea of love and what I do, like the choices you have to make sometimes, or to go back to the homeland or move on, which a lot of people face coming out of certain, and so it's relatable. When you add Wolverine to it, you turn it into completely something else, and you could flip out at any time. You put Wolverine in here, what's your argument? You're saying John Rambo and Rocky are the same movie. That doesn't make any sense. Just because an actor is playing the same part or a different version of the same part in a movie doesn't make it. Logan is not Van Helsing. Logan is a whole nother animal. So therefore, and you put him in the right settings, it's great. Yeah, that's not pressure. That's not pressure at all.
Dan?
Graham, if the Brooklyn fans are going to militarize themselves Red Dawn style, you need to look out. Because Twitter is not behind you. I should say it was nominated for Best Picture, Actress, and Screenplay. It has a 97% fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes and an 88%.
Delightful.
An 88%.
Just because you hate it doesn't mean
An 88% audience score currently. Wolverine also is not an animal. He's a mutant. He's still a person.
But he's diverse. He's not human. I'm diversifying mutants. They're very diverse.
Technically a human. He's just an evolved human.
But he's ostracized in the mutant community in the X-Men, right?
I mean, Magneto.
I'm putting a minority into a movie.
But the question is improve.
There you go.
Van Helsing was a bad movie.
Also, the overwhelming pick by several on Twitter was Batman v Wolverine. Was the movie that they would have liked.
I'd see that. That'd be cool.
That's pretty good.
Batman v Wolverine.
Shit, so what do you think of that?
And as always, I've got the Twitter poll, Andy, when you'd like it.
Yeah, they knocked you out there, JT. I mean, that sort of defeated the whole
really
point of that movie. So
writing that Wolverine tie-in.
Yeah, it was clever, but didn't really make sense, sadly. So it came down to between John and Graham, which is important because this dictates who goes to the end. I mean, there's not a lot of movies with Irish crossover, man. John gets the point.
Yeah!
What? There's still Irish in the movie. He's not getting rid of the Irish people.
Film.
I'm still alive.
The fantastical setting environment actually was. You could have him in there. You could still fight those things. So that puts it at a tie.
Woo! I've never been in one of these. What are we doing?
This tie doesn't. This point doesn't count. This is merely whoever wins this speed round question will move on to the finals.
Okay.
All right. So speed round music is. He knows where that is. We'll use that for tiebreaker music as well. All right. Hit cue the music as I get a question ready.
Speed round.
Okay. Not including films by George Lucas or Steven Spielberg. Best Harrison Ford film.
Blade Runner.
Witness.
Yeah, both of those count. Okay, we got Blade Runner by Graham and Witness from Roca. Blade Runner is first. Time will start when you begin speaking.
Blade Runner is an amazing view of the future. It's a dystopian view of the future. It's a Ridley Scott film. It is a classic. You can see it with voiceover and without. Deckard, the secret is that Deckard is a replicant. It's fantastic filmmaking, and it is a view of the future that is changed my life.
Okay. Witness is a fantastic exploration of what happens here between religion and society, civilization and religion, especially with the Amish people. So you have Harrison Ford going in. He's also doing as a crime. You have Danny Glover as the villain. You have so much going on here. And Harrison Ford is showing you what he can do as an actor, the smaller moments, the nuances, the romance, all these things, the relationship with the child. There's so much that's explored here in Witness that establishes Harrison Ford as an actor.
This is the first time we ever got to really see the argument or the discussion about artificial life and are they human and how do we treat them. It's the first time this discussion has ever.
Rutger Hauer overwhelms Harrison Ford in that movie. Rutger Hauer is almost as memorable as Harrison Ford is in that movie. In Witness, it is Harrison Ford's movie. He is fantastic in that movie. He rules that movie, and he is who you come away with after you're done.
That one's tough.
Ooh, ma.
Gave you a good question, though. That was fair. Dan, any thoughts on that?
It was best movie, right?
Best Harrison Ford film.
Right. Graham sold me more on his film. I'm gonna go with Graham.
Yeah, you got you were both close for me actually, but then I was listening intently because it was all important. And the rebuttal, I think you made the mistake focusing on Rutger Hauer being better because it didn't give me another point that I needed, whereas you layered your argument more. So just for the fact of that, I got to give Graham the point.
Well done.
Whoa, but very close, John. I hope you don't feel too bad because you played great this game, and you were very close. And,
It was fun.
You didn't lose your cool too much. That was great.
I'm changing my style.
Good job, man.
Yeah, I'm done with the yelling.
Next time. Next time.
The heart, it's too much.
It was good. You were very fantastic. Please come back anytime.
Thank
we know
you.
we love you here.
Thanks for having me.
So now you're going to help me
Sure, absolutely.
help figure out who's going to win between JT and Graham.
What's the score?
The score is still
3 to
3-1.
3 to 1. Got it.
So
So what
JT,
are the points?
You gotta,
Can you, since this is my first time on the show, can you go over the rules and point scoring?
Yes. So for the speed round now, which this was the same thing you just did, you will have 20 seconds. I'm going to name things here. 20 seconds. Sorry, I'm going to name something. Answer it quickly. If you say the same thing at the same time, whoever said it first gets that selection. If you said it second, you'll have to pick something else. You'll have 20 seconds for your initial argument. You'll hear the bell. That means you have to stop talking, and then you'll have a 10-second rebuttal.
Yep.
Is how the time works. Any other questions?
And what's the points value per these?
One per.
One per.
You have chance for 5 more points here.
So I got to make up some
You
ground.
got to make up some ground.
But you can.
It's totally been done.
Yeah.
It's totally been done.
for sure.
All right, first one is going to be a bargain bin. So I'm going to throw up a picture on that TV. You're going to see 2 DVDs. They're going to both be in there from our fans. This comes in from Road Rider 3. I'll tell you when to click it. There it is.
Starship Troopers.
Starship Troopers.
No, Princess Bride. Princess Bride. He said
Well, that's
Starship
tough.
you said Starship
it
reversed.
first. So you both kind of got what you didn't want.
All right, so I got Princess Bride.
You're Princess
Okay.
Bride. So
Okay.
hold on. So wait. So JT, I heard you first, and you said Starship. We got to own it. And Graham is going to have Princess Bride. So because JT spoke first, you will go first. 20 seconds when you begin speaking.
Oh my God. Raiders of the Lost Ark. Son of a bitch. All right, I'm done.
No, that's Spielberg.
Sorry,
Spielberg.
Oh, it was?
And
Okay,
Lucas.
never mind.
That's all right.
I've got stuff in my brain.
Little movie Tourette's.
All right, 20 seconds begins when you begin speaking. JT, you have the floor.
Starship Troopers is a great spectacle summer film, but it's more than that. It has some great undertones that Paul Verhoeven wrote about the actual patriotism in the war that was going on with America, about us invading people. It's grown in cult fandom and critics. There's actually classes taught about this one movie because it's so dense and layered. You could watch it several times and get something new from it every time. Plus some of the best action scenes.
Great, Graham. 20 seconds begins when you begin speaking.
Princess Bride is a classic. It is a movie that stands the test of time. It is evergreen. It is a beautiful love story. It launches the career of like Carrie Elweaves. There's all these memorable lines. As you wish, Peter Fall. I mean, it's fantastic, and it's something a movie. Anytime it's on TV, I will stop and watch it.
Okay, 10 seconds for JT when you begin speaking.
Princess Bride, everything you get out of it is on the surface. There's nothing deep there. With Starship Troopers, you actually get some deep elements and some deep thoughts. Also has some of the best CGI that still holds up to this day. Those monsters still look real.
10 seconds begins when you begin speaking.
Starship Troopers, shoot 'em up monster movie. Princess Bride, eternal love. If that's not a deep story, if that doesn't have love and how you will do anything for love after you think that somebody thinks you're dead.
All right, John, coming to you based on the arguments. Where are you leaning?
He was dead until his rebuttal. And then the rebuttal got me because
That's close.
he was repeating the same thing over and over again. Classic evergreen, but it was over and over again. But that rebuttal.
So you go with Graham.
Yeah, I got to because of
Dan.
the rebuttal.
This is really, this is very close. I'm with John.
Yeah.
JT had it until the
Yeah,
rebuttal.
I'm with both of you.
Yeah.
So you slayed it there, Graham. You pulled it at the
You got me on
end.
a rebuttal.
I love Starship Troopers, by the way.
It's hard. I love Princess Bride. It's hard.
I know.
I was like, oh my god, I
All
love
right,
this
here we
movie.
go. Ready, number 2? Mm-hmm. What is the best superhero sequel movie title?
Dark Knight.
It's best title for a superhero movie.
Sequel.
Sequel. I'm gonna go with Captain America: Winter Soldier.
Okay. Graham, you get to go first this time. Big time begins when you start speaking.
It's the sequel to Batman Begins. The Dark Knight is the second name, almost the nickname of the Batman, which takes it to the next level and shows you who he is. Batman Begins was an origin story, so it is the perfect. Now he is fully formed Batman. He is fighting crime in Gotham, and he has his biggest challenge ever. That's why that title just grabs you. The minute you look at it, you know what it is.
JT?
Winter Soldier, Captain America 2. I feel it encapsulates perfectly what you're gonna get with that film. You're gonna get that winter feel of the old Cold War espionage films of the 70s, and it does a great job of just letting you know you're going in for the Winter Soldier, a famous comic book character that people could not wait to see on the big screen. So when you saw it, you recognize immediately you're gonna get the story that you've been wanting to see for years.
10 seconds.
If you don't know anything about the Batman comic books, Dark Knight tells you what that movie is. It's dark, and he's a knight, and knights are honor, and they put their lives on the line every night. Bring it.
10 seconds.
The Dark Knight is only really known to comic book characters. I'm sure most people that saw it didn't realize it was a Batman movie at first, whereas the Winter Soldier had Captain America in front of it. So you knew you were going to get that fun stuff you got from Captain America, but you're also going to get the new dark tone for Winter Soldier.
All right, that's everything. Dan? Do you want that winter feel?
JT had me when he was kind of going in that road of winter, Cold War,
yeah.
but then he just went back to it has Captain America in front of it.
No, because
I
this
think
doesn't have Batman.
Graham is like, if it doesn't have Batman, you know what it is, you know what the theme of the movie's about, I gotta go with Graham.
Yeah, I'm with you. John,
Yeah, I
we're
go with
on
Graham.
agreement? Okay.
It was a sequel to
Wow,
Batman.
so there it was.
Yeah,
We are
he's
now
back.
tied.
That was a better choice, by the way.
We are now tied. That's how this game works. Here we go.
Yeah, man.
Number 3. Okay, this question is specific.
Mm-hmm.
Best movie featuring Kate Winslet in any role.
Titanic.
The Aviator.
Okay. Best movie featuring.
she's not
She's
in that.
not in that movie.
But if she was, she would be fantastic.
I think I got
Oh, I gotta hear this argument.
Should we hear him argue? I was gonna let him.
Kate
gonna let him
Winslet
try.
and Wolverine.
All right. Well, you got knocked out then. He loses that point.
Eternal Sunshine.
Ooh, that would have been good.
So
I
JT,
didn't even. I would have fallen for a second. There's a lot of people
I was
in that
waiting
movie.
for you to go, and I was like, is he not going to say it?
All right, JT gets that point.
Boom.
Moving on.
Damn it. I was thinking of a different British actress.
Kate Blanchett. So,
Yeah, Kate Blanchett.
Sorry.
That Irish thing
Here
is
we
deep.
go. Better 90s Keanu, Speed or Point Break?
Speed.
Point Break.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Nice.
We got to get a fight here. We got Speed from JT and Point Break. Speed I heard first. Better 90s Keanu, Point Break. I'm sorry, Speed. JT, when you're ready.
Speed is an action masterpiece that holds up today because they didn't rely on CGI like a lot of films do today. It's just it's a great ride from beginning to end. It has a great villain, Dennis Hopper, and it introduced America to the sweetheart known as Sandra Bullock. And the chemistry between those two are better than the chemistry than anything in that movie, and I'm including Patrick and Keanu. That movie's a little cheesy at times. It's fun because it's cheesy at times. Speed.
Okay. Go ahead, Graham, whenever you're ready.
Keanu in Point Break has the perfect character arc. He is blew out his knee as a college football player, joins the FBI, has to learn how to become a surfer and befriend Patrick Swayze and this rogue band of bank robbing surfers, and has a great relationship with Lori Petty. Ring it. Oh, I thought that was 20 seconds. That's all I need to know. Great surfing.
Better 90s Keanu, 10-second rebuttals. Go ahead, JT.
You just basically described the plot of the movie. I'm talking about an action milestone. When people think about the best 90 films when it comes to action, they mention speed. Pop Quiz Hot Shot is one of the most quotable action quotes ever. Also, James DeBonte directed it.
10 seconds begins when you begin speaking.
No character arc. The whole movie takes place on a bus. We go all over, surfing, different breaks. We fly out of planes. We rob banks, and we have Gary Busey going young, dumb, and full of cum.
Okay. All right. I'm torn here because Graham definitely pitched the best 90s Keanu, but he didn't say that. And then JT pitched the better movie based on the arguments. If you had embraced the topic question and said that's why this is the best 90s, I would have gone there. But based on those arguments, without that sort of
I
reasoning...
said character arc.
No, you did.
That's Keanu.
I checked that box.
So because I was waiting for it, but it's because of that I'm going with speed. John, what do you
Yeah,
think?
because you mentioned Gary Busey, so you take it. You made my mind drift away from Keanu Reeves, and the question was, what's best Keanu? And I think JT did a better job, and you had
Dan?
more to work with.
Yeah, I thought that Graham's first 7 or 8 seconds were really strong, and then I think he lost the track a little bit. I would also go JT. I have some fact checks on that.
That means JT is our winner!
Back in the winner's circle.
Congratulations, you made it. That was tough, but Graham, wow, good debut. Please come back anytime. That was a lot of fun.
So much fun, you guys.
Let's get
This
these
is a blast.
some plugs out of the way. John Roca at The
Yes.
Roca Says, where can people find you?
You can always find me there, like Andy just said, at The Roca Says on Twitter and Instagram, and also the Top 10 Show every Wednesday at 5 p.m. The Cinephiles, my new podcast breaking down a classic film for the year 2000, and we just started on Geek and Sundry on the Twitch channel, Super Animation Game Time with Yuri Lowenthal and I. We interview somebody from voiceover and animation and video games and talk about them in their lives over an hour.
Love it. Graham Elwood at Graham Elwood on Twitter. Where else do you want to send people?
You can go to grahamelwood.com. I'm headlining the Hollywood Improv tomorrow night, October 7th at 8 p.m. I also hope...
Friday night?
Friday night?
Okay,
Sorry.
because it's there. It's Thursday. I just want to make sure if they're watching.
Okay,
later.
yeah.
Friday night?
And I also co-host a podcast called Comedy Film Nerds. It is far more Charlie Rose-ish than this.
Nice.
Awesome.
So I'd love to have you guys on it. And then, of course, I co-produce the Los Angeles Podcast Festival. We just had our 5th year. And you can watch all the shows online at lapodfest.com.
Love it. Well, thanks for coming, man. Josh, JTE.
JT, guys, catch me on Twitter, Instagram, all that at JTE Movie Thinks. Also on YouTube, where I do movie reviews and trailer reviews. I just did a review for The Accountant, the new Ben Affleck movie. I'm not going to tell you what I thought of it. Go to my YouTube channel and check it out. Also here on Movie Fights and all around Screen Junkies.
Can I say one last thing?
Dan Murrell Dan, then you can.
Yeah, at Murrell Dan on Twitter. Final fact checks of the day. For those who don't speak JT, James DeBonte is Jan DeBonte. And John C. McGinley says young, dumb, and full of cum. And plug break, not Gary Busey.
That's closer than I thought.
I'm Andy Signore. Oh, sorry.
And join us in New York.
Yes, New
if
York
you're gonna
Comic
be in
Con.
New
We'll
York
be
this
there tomorrow.
Well, I guess
I'm Andy Signore, but let's have the last word. John Roca, what do you want?
The Ultimate Schmodown happens tomorrow. I take on Mark Riley. You know, you beat Christian. I beat Christian. Hey, that's we got a thing in common. I take on Mark Riley, and it's because I want that belt. The Outlaw has to have that belt. Dan's been wearing my belt for far too long, so I'm going to take that belt from him eventually, but I got to take care of Riley first tomorrow, then Mark Ellis, then I'm coming for Dan Murrell. So watch it on the Collider Schmoes No channel, The Ultimate Schmodown, and you got to get back on there. You got to get
I
out of
just
the
want to
match.
beat Christian again. That's all I want to do there. You hear that, Christian?
And JTE, you and I
want that Movie Fights belt.
Oh,
I think this
there
puts
it
me
is.
back in.
Working on it.
So let's get that
Let's talk
going.
about it after the fight. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll be next to you live on Plus, and we'll see you next week if you don't come there. Bye-bye.
Every podcast we put on YouTube comes with this kick-ass graphic listing all the topics your favorite Screen Junkies podcasters are talking about. If you click the topics, you can skip around and choose your own podcast battle royale. Go ahead, try them all. If you haven't already, subscribe to Screen Junkies on YouTube to join us for future fights. Or if you prefer to listen on iTunes, click the logo to download an audio version.